20 years, 1 month, and 6 days. I started working at WAPA on November 25th, 1991 as a operator trainee. I moved rather quickly, became a first class operator in less than 5 years. I started units, I controlled loads. That's pretty much what I did. When I was first hired, I was an operator trainee, so we didn't have a supervisor at that point in time. We had a trainer, Norman Williams, who passed. You know, nice person, like everybody else. Every supervisor that I had as a trainee. I was fortunate being a Virgin Islander, so everybody kind of knew my mother as a teacher. They knew my name as a common name in the Virgin Islands. So I didn't have any problems. I was one of those employees who came to work early, like half an hour early. I tried to learn the job because this was something new. Just all this noise in this place. We're making power, making water. How? That's what I wanted to know. So that was my thing. It was exciting at that point in time. So that was my time as a trainee. Probably some of the best years. Year and a half, I think what I did. I rarely dealt with customers. But when there were outages, that was my responsibility to make sure that they got the power back in a reasonable amount of time. We also produced water, which was the best water in the Virgin Islands at that point in time. So that's what I did. While I was an employee, the most significant event that I think impacted the Virgin Islands and for me is keeping the power on, being reliable in terms of water and power, daily, yearly, monthly. So I think we did a great job at that point in time. That was the best years I think WAPA ever had, personally. When I grew up in the Virgin Islands, the saying is, God said, let there be light, and WAPA said, none to so. So we were reliable at that point in time. And like I said, the best water in the Virgin Islands at that time. The family aspect of it is, I still speak to people who I worked with 20-some years ago. Anytime I see them, I don't call them by their names. I call my WAPA and they turn around and, it's always that camaraderie that we have. Even in church, we I still know people from WAPA. So those were my years at the authority where we had a family. It was nice. Not always pleasant, but it was nice. People in positions, and sometimes the positions went to their heads, but it was still a family culture that we had.
Talk a little bit more about your union rep position?
Sure, of course. I was the president of the rank and file union. At that point in time, it was a real union where we had, when I started, I think we had almost 600 people in my union, St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John. Those were not tumultuous, but different years. That's where the family came from for me. People had opinions, and I think we were one of the strongest unions in the Virgin Islands, especially when Southern Energy wanted to buy the authority. All of a sudden, people found out that, oh shoot, there's a union in WAPA, and these people want to buy this entity, and these people are striking. They're class 3 employees and they can't strike. And wait a minute, that's the rank and file union who's doing all this. So as a union president, there was power in it. There was respect, meeting with governors, and I think that's the first time that our union, in its entirety, from Mr. Otley, who started the union, to the other union presidents, that's the first time we ever were on a map. So I think that that was the best years of being part of the union for me. Not necessarily for the authority, but the people of Virgin Islands realized that there were people, the real people working at the authority who were regular people. They understood what it was when there's an outage, when there's a water shortage. It wasn't somebody else who you met at the top. These were people who, it's not just linemen, it was people in the plant, and people in the business offices. Even after storms, I remember in the St. Croix, especially when some customers came and they were complaining and they were coming to their gates, and the employees gathered together and they had their pots and they kicked the people out. How you can come into our plant? This is WAPA, this is our WAPA, and it's a matter of pride when you work at the authority. You can't just, well, for me, we couldn't just sit back and say, well, that this is just a job. This is our place. This is our work. This was our home, and we took pride in it. My take on being a board member, I always thought that the biggest problem in WAPA was, first it was employees, then it was management. Then, I kind of realized sitting on the board, it's the board, with the political influence from outside, with board members not really taking an opportunity to try to learn what's in front of us, or understand. I think that's what I've experienced as a board member, and it's frustrating. But I don't lose sight of what I call a fiduciary responsibility to the people of the Virgin Islands. We need to lower the cost of electricity. We need to be more reliable, and we just need to change our approach to Virgin Islanders, because we have a commitment to them as long as we work in the authority. So you asked me about my term on the board. I still curse Governor Matt for putting me in this position, but I'm here. I don't shy away from challenges. So it's a challenge, but I'm here until I'm no longer here.